Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to do something a little bit different today. The Apple iPhone event has just finished and I watched it, I was really excited, and I just want to go through my top 5 favorite things about the new iPhone. So during the event we saw all of the new things that are going to be on this year's iPhone, and to be honest there's a couple of standout things for me, and the first one is the new form factor. It's the first time Apple have really kind of changed the look of the iPhone kind of since they got rid of the home button and introduced Face ID. But up until then, this is the iPhone XS and this is the phone I've been using for the last 2 years. And like, iPhones have had this kind of shape for a very long time. So they've pretty much looked like this since the iPhone 6 launched. Like, they've got rounded edges. The iPhone XS that I'm using here has it's slightly longer than the 6S, but ultimately it's the same shape of phone. It hasn't really changed, but this new phone is the first phone that has actually changed its form factor somewhat. And actually what they've done is in some ways they've kind of gone back to what they had previously. I have here an iPhone 5S and this is an iPhone 4 or 4S, I'm not really sure, but these two phones in some ways are more similar than this phone is to the iPhone 12. And the reason for that is Apple have actually gone back to these flat edges and they've gone to a more kind of flat rounded design than the rounded curved edges that we have on the previous models. And to be honest, I love it. I think it's great. The iPhone 5 and 5S is still one of my favorite designs on the iPhone, and I'm really happy to see these hard edges back again. I just think they're going to make the phone that little bit easier to hold when it's in your hand. And the other thing that it has enabled Apple to do is just to make the phone a little bit smaller and a little bit neater while keeping the screen sizes the same. So that's really cool. And to be honest, I don't know, maybe I was just a little bit bored with how the iPhone looked, and that's why I'm excited about the new form factor. But beyond that, I do really like the look and shape of the hard edges on the newer phone. And I think it's really good. I can't wait to have the opportunity to get one in my hand. I don't know when that's going to be, but yeah, I feel like it's going to be really ergonomic and it's going to be a really comfortable phone just to hold in your hand. So next up on my top 5 list of things that I'm really excited about on the new iPhone is 5G. Now, if you were watching the Apple event, you would think that Apple invented 5G the way they were talking about it, but 5G has been around for a couple of years now, and it's been on phones for at least 2 years, I think. This is the first iPhone that's had 5G, and to be honest, it's kind of a game changer. Very often Apple bring out a new feature on an iPhone, and it's not that they're the first ones to the market with this thing, but traditionally, once Apple puts something into an iPhone, it becomes the standard from then on. 5G has been growing and there's been a lot of talk about 5G, and there's been a huge amount of talk around all of the things that it can do and how it can transform our lives with just so much faster download speeds. And now that that's been implemented on an iPhone, I just think we're really going to see 5G take off. You won't need to be connected to super fast Wi-Fi to do everything on your phone anymore. One of the examples that they gave was a doctor will be able to receive really high-res images of patient scans and that kind of thing, and they'll be able to look at that on the phone. Before 5G, that kind of file would take a really long time to download, whereas now they'll be able to do it in seconds. So I think for that kind of thing, I think 5G could revolutionize the way we all work in our day-to-day lives, and that's something that I'm really excited about. And the fact that it's in an iPhone, I'm really excited to have that kind of access to data and to my information on the go. So the next thing that's great is the introduction of Magsafe. Anyone who's had a MacBook Pro for a few years or a couple of years ago will probably be somewhat familiar with the term Magsafe, because that was the system that Apple used on the MacBooks to charge them. And what it was, basically the charger was magnetic and it would just stick onto the side of the laptop. They've moved away from that on the new MacBook Pros when they went to USB-C, And like, I still think that like Magsafe was so good on the old MacBooks. It meant that if you knocked off your cable, it would just pop off the side of your laptop. It wouldn't pull the whole thing off the desk, which is actually the situation now. And they're bringing Magsafe to the iPhone. And I think that's great, because for me, when I first got my iPhone XS, it was the first phone that I ever had that had wireless charging capabilities. And there was a couple of times when I was charging this phone and I'd put it on the charger at night and I'd go to sleep and I didn't put it on the charger properly and it didn't charge. Whereas with Magsafe and a Magsafe compatible wireless charger, it means that the phone will magnetically connect to the charger. So it will always be in the right place, which means that you will get the fastest charging time and it will always charge, and you can be confident that your phone is charging with the new Magsafe charger. The other thing that's actually really amazing about Magsafe in the phone is that it opens up a whole lot of potential for new accessories. Like, Apple during the event showcased some of the accessories that they're working on. They have a wallet that's coming out, so it'll just hold your cards in the back and it just magnetically clicks onto the back of the phone. Their cases are all going to be magnetic now, so they'll just clip in and out much more easily. And then there are third-party companies that are making accessories for it as well. Like, so there'll be magnetic car holders, which, like, I just think so many uses for this that will be really convenient. And while on the face of it, like, Magsafe doesn't sound like something that you'd get terribly excited about. Yeah, great, Apple made the back of the phone magnetic, but actually the practical implications of that, I think, are huge. And I think it's going to be one of those kinds of upgrades that we look at the time and think it's not really a big deal. But as more and more accessories become available and more people utilize Magsafe, I think in a year, or certainly in 2 years' time, we'll look back and we'll think, like, how did we ever get by without this? You know, and that is what I think Magsafe is going to be. It's going to be something that just sits there in the background and makes everything that you do with your iPhone just that little bit better and so much more convenient. The next thing that I'm really excited about is just the fact that Apple have brought out more options for the iPhone. They're launching an iPhone mini, which is really cool. So it's going to be smaller, I think, than this phone that I have here, but it's going to have a bigger screen. Not a bigger screen than this phone, but like, it's going to have a bigger screen than, I think they're saying it's smaller than the iPhone 8, but it'll have a much bigger screen than the iPhone 8 had. So I think that's really exciting. It's just, I like the fact that they're getting to the stage where they're making the phones that little bit smaller again. Because again, as I've already said, this phone was probably my favorite form factor, just in terms of size. It was really comfortable in the hand. The iPhone mini with the flat edges, little bit smaller, it's going to be a really comfortable phone. But the fact that they're actually making the screen bigger, like don't get me wrong, I would never go back to a phone this size with a screen this size. So I just think that the iPhone mini is going to be a really great way to kind of cater to people who like a slightly smaller phone. Like, not everybody wants to go around with the iPhone 12 Pro Max, like almost a tablet in their pocket. Like, some people want a smaller phone, and I'm really glad to see that Apple are catering for people like that again. Personally, I think if I was buying one of these phones, I'd probably go for something similar to the size that I have in my iPhone XS. I'm not sure that I would go for the mini, but I love the fact that it's there. And then at the other end of the scale, you have the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which is just, it's a much bigger phone again. So like, if you want that big phone, there's an iPhone for you. But equally, if you want the smaller phone, there's still an iPhone for you. And that's what I really like. It's nice to see that Apple are just providing more options to their customers and kind of have a phone there for everyone. So the last thing that I want to talk about is the camera. Apple have upgraded the camera in the iPhone 12, and like, Apple upgrade the camera in the iPhone every year. This year is no different, but there's a couple of things that they've done that I'm really excited for. Last year with the iPhone 11, they introduced night mode, which really improved the quality of photos at night. And they've made night mode even better now, and they've introduced time-lapse video night mode, which means that you can shoot amazing time lapses on your iPhone at night. If you're a YouTuber or you're starting on YouTube and you have this phone, like, it's going to be more than enough to use for YouTube. I really think with a lot of the features that they're incorporating into this year's phone, they have YouTubers in mind. They have vloggers in mind. And then if you go to the iPhone Pro and the Pro Max, they've made it even better. You can now shoot RAW on the iPhone, and like, that is amazing. RAW format is the format that professional photographers use when they're taking photos, and now you can do that on an iPhone. Like, that is mind-blowing. The improvements they've made to the camera this year are really huge, and again, like, I feel like with this iPhone, it's not a revolutionary product in the way that like the iPhone 10 was when they got rid of the home button, or when they introduced Touch ID. Those things, like, those were real kind of like game changer features that just change how we think about our iPhones. I don't think this year's model really has anything like that, but I do think that there's so much packed into this year's phone that it's a really exciting phone as a whole package. I've been really positive about everything I've said about the new iPhone and everything I've said about Apple up to this point, but there was one big takeaway that I got from the Apple event tonight. For me, it's a big negative. This was rumored, we kind of expected this was going to happen, but it's official as of today. They're taking the charging block and the earphones out of the box. So if you need either of those things, or if this is your first iPhone, you're gonna have to buy those extra. And Apple said that this was to do with improving their climate targets and like being getting closer to being carbon neutral in their products. And I do believe them in all that. That's all true, but equally, as a consumer of these products, it's a little bit like, it's a huge inconvenience, and it's a little bit antagonistic towards the consumer, I think, to take these things away completely. And I was talking earlier with Elaine about it, and like, she made the point that you should be able to, for like an extra 10 euro or 20 euro or whatever, you should be able to add those on when you're buying the phone. And I completely agree with her. And Apple could still meet all of their climate targets by taking those things out of the box, but by allowing you to buy a bundle. I think they're just sort of saying, here's the phone, if you want to buy these things separately, you have to pay fully extra. I think definitely if I wasn't an iPhone user, I'd be less inclined to become one after that. I am an iPhone user, so it's not going to deter me in any way from buying an iPhone in the future. Elaine also made the point that not everybody has AirPods, not everybody has Bluetooth headphones, not everybody has headphones that are going to work with the iPhone when they buy it. Ultimately, I think they're doing it to cut down on costs rather than do it for climate reasons. I think they're able to say that it's for climate reasons because it does have a positive climate impact. Okay, so those are my initial thoughts on the iPhone 12 and Apple's event. And as I said at the start of this video, this is very different to this type of video that I normally do on this channel. So if you like this video, let me know in the comments, and let me know if you want me to do more videos like this, because it's something that I've been thinking about for a while and something that I've kind of been wanting to try out and get into. So if you like this video, let me know. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in my next video.